Yeah.
Hello, everybody. This is Joey with Homebrew Your Own Beer. I think we're live. Looks like we're live. Hi, everyone. This is Joey with Homebrew Your Own Beer. And to my right, or your right, is Chris Allen. How are you doing, Chris?
What's going on, man? I'm doing all right. And as we were just talking beforehand, you pulled me away from watching the Tiger King. I don't know. Like we were just saying, it's kind of a train wreck, and I'm kind of stuck on it. But other than that, being stuck at home right now with everything that's going on is kind of something that you need these kind of distractions. So I think now is the perfect time for something like that to come out. Other than drinking good beer and talking about drinking good beer, and that's why that's why we're doing this tonight.
Yeah, I've got through Ozark in 3 days. Now it's is it Tiger something? I've definitely been binge watching away. I wanted to pull everyone together today. Hopefully, I'm looking for one person to show up because he's going to be the one who's going to give us the results. Let me text him real quick while we're still waiting for a few people to come in. Sorry, I'm texting away here. Just to let everyone know, store is still open. We have hours right now from 11 to 5. That's been pretty much every day. Usually we close at 7, but today we're going to usually we close at 7, but the weekdays we're closing at 5, and Sundays we're even, I think this Sunday we closed at 3. Main reason is I've been making multiple trips to the post office, UPS, FedEx, you name it. I appreciate all of you all who are shipping us your orders, whether it be the website, email. I mean, you can still come into the store, so I appreciate everyone who is showing their support for the store during these times. Thanks again. So that being said, we were supposed to do a cast. What was it? The 18th of March.
Yep.
It was right when everything was starting to kind of come down. And so what we decided to do was postpone it just so everyone could get their thoughts in order. However, I'd already had beers in my refrigerator from part of the experiment we were going to do from that. So I definitely decided to give those a try today. Chris, not you, Chris, Chris W. is the one who brewed these beers. One used a liquid yeast. The other one used a dry yeast. Fact check me. I know Chris is in the chat already. Fact check me if I'm wrong, Chris W. And so basically, one batch of beer split into 2 fermenters. And from those 2 fermenters, one was pitched with Flagship by Imperial. And then the other one was pitched with US05 by Cephale. So I have one beer. I still do not know which beer is what. So I've got one that has a black cap or black line through it, and then I've got one that's just a straight up. It's a pretty cool bottle, actually.
Well, I kind of like that bottle. Yeah,
just a straight up, no insignias. Is that a right word? No.
Yeah, like no marker. Yeah, no marking on it.
I'm going to get confused, so I've got whatever this glass is. Don't know. I don't know where I got it. It's cool. It's etched. And then I've got a Homebrew Your Own Beer glass. So the one with the line through it, I'm going to put in what we could call that, a tulip glass. I don't know.
I think aren't those the IPA glasses or whatever?
Huh?
Are those for IPAs?
Shit, I don't know.
All right.
It looks cool. They're stackable, muffin top. I think someone gave me them as samples. They ended up to my house. All right. So now, Chris, what kind? Chris W. I just confusing. There's 2 Chris's, and there's three of us right now, and 2 of them are named Chris. We got Chris, Joe, Jeff, and Mike. I'm pretty sure are the names of every single gentleman who comes to the store. What kind of beer is it, Chris W? Okay, both IPAs. It sucks because I text you, Chris A, and asked if you were gonna do this with me today, and I was ready to load 2 of these beers up into my car and drop them off at your front doorstep, so you could be doing this with me. But
oh yeah, I would have done that. Or hell, I could have come
no,
down and
these are blonde ales. I do remember now. These are blonde ales. These aren't IPAs.
all right.
And that was the reason why. The reason why we decided to do blonde ales was because, you know, we really wanted the potential yeast to kind of come through. So we didn't want something that was extremely hoppy, extremely dark malts, you know, something that could mask just a good, clean fermenting beer.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I've got, I'm already doing it. Hold on. See, I should have poured these ahead of time because I'm trying to get the caps. Oh yeah, this one had the cool. All right.
Yeah.
Good. So one thing I am noticing right off the bat. Okay, that was because it was low. Color wise, I'm gonna drop this all over my laptop. Watch.
Yep.
Color wise,
Yeah, look at
seems
them.
to be pretty much in line. Honestly,
Yeah.
from color, I don't have the greatest lighting in here. I know it looks like I'm lit, but I can barely see anything.
I mean, it looks pretty close.
Let me put these on my laptop. Oh gosh, now I'm flirting with disaster.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I would say I can't tell anything by appearance.
I was like, all I see is a bright light now.
That was my cell phone light. So by appearance alone, I can't seem to tell a difference.
Okay.
Head, I don't really see anything different now. Chris W. These don't appear to be bottle condition, although we did do the last taste test last time, and we were able to tell the difference between bottle condition versus.
Oh, it was almost immediate.
Yeah. So I'm assuming these are bottle conditioned because I'm assuming these came from a keg because I don't really see much sludge or anything in there. The beer's poured slightly hazy, but for blonde ale, I don't think it's anything that's like.
I'm honestly curious about where that bottle comes from because I want that bottle.
It looks like a Belgian bottle to me, like from Chimay,
yeah,
like a Chimay bottle or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I promised I would give it back, but I am tempted to forget. I'm just teasing. Aroma. I might not be able to do this one.
All
right. I'm still getting nothing. Honestly, so far I haven't tried the beer yet, but based on the style for a blonde ale, this is living up to the reputation. I mean, nice clean fermentation. I feel like I don't feel like what's the word I'm looking for? There's anything here that is throwing me off. I mean, I already know I'm in trouble.
You're gonna be off.
I'm in trouble. All right, so the first one with the line tastes extremely clean. Honestly, it's balanced for beer wise. If I was judging this as a beer alone, I think that I honestly would love to have this in my keg. So, Chris, if you have an abundance of this, feel free to just bring me a whole keg instead of a 6-pack. I'll take that off your hands.
What's the recipe now? I want to brew it.
Well, that's a good question. That would have been helpful. Now, wouldn't it? Okay. If I was to say anything, I would say let me try one more time.
You're just gonna wind up drinking that whole glass trying to figure it out.
I'm gonna be drunk by the time I figure it out. I'm assuming a blonde ale isn't too high in alcohol, and I promise I only drank one beer beforehand. And I was making sure I got everything set up so we could watch that damn not shark show, tiger show.
Tiger King,
don't
baby.
recommend. Don't go down the rabbit hole. Okay. And I'm stretching right now. I'm really stretching right now, and my opinion probably is not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
I am starting to believe that the solid gold cap is the US05.
Okay. Why?
Thank you. I don't technically know. So I would say right now, the one with the black line in it tastes like it's cleaner. It almost feels like it fermented slightly further, like it reached a lower final gravity.
Okay.
2 seconds of Googling on like what differences you should be. I will admit that US05, through some other people who had did similar studies or did similar experiments, they kind of noted that.
Okay.
So solid gold cap tastes slightly, I don't want to say under attenuated because it's not like it's off-putting, but it tastes slightly sweeter. So
Okay.
Imperial is a very vicious yeast. It gets to work really quick, has a high cell count. So like, in my opinion, it would be rocking and rolling a little bit faster. Now, I will say, if I drink them the other way around, I wonder if it's just not my brain messing with me. All right, that's my final answer. I will give Chris a minute to maybe if he wants to throw a couple comments in the chat there, maybe I can.
So you're saying the liquid yeast finished with a lower FG. I mean, what's that? I mean, that makes sense. At least, yeah.
So I will say this: both beers taste extremely similar. And if, say, I brewed a 10-gallon batch and threw them into 2 different kegs, I'm not sure I could tell the difference. Meaning, like when I went from one keg to the other, there would be this like huge, oh man, this is a totally different beer. So before we give the results, I guess here would be like kind of what I've taken from this. If you like dry yeast, stick with it. If you like liquid yeast, stick with it as well. I don't feel like there's any beer here. I was hoping that there was a difference from like, oh shit, I'm never using dry yeast again. Or as of right now, all I could really take from, now granted, we're just using like a US05, a Chico type strain. I don't feel like there's any huge fit flavor, like boom, like that's dry yeast. You'll hear some people comment like, oh, extract beers have that tang to them. Have you ever heard that, Chris?
Yeah.
Did you ever experience it yourself?
A little bit, but I always thought that was more from my own process, like not understanding enough about just even things as simple as like water chemistry, because at the time I used mostly just tap water. So I thought it mostly came from just a lack of, I guess, getting into the nitty gritty, but that could be a part of it.
Yeah, I jumped into all grain brewing fairly quickly because I thought the same thing, where I was like, ooh, I'm getting this homebrew tang to it. And you'll hear that sometimes. And then when I opened the store, I hadn't brewed an extract beer in probably over 6 years, probably even longer. And I brewed a batch of beer just to familiarize myself with the process. And I basically used a lot of practices from all grain brewing into extract brewing. Like I did a full boil. I used a wort chiller instead of an ice water bath, just some of the things in pieces of equipment that we pick up through all grain brewing.
Yeah.
So that would, long story short, I didn't really notice a difference. And I know a few people that brew like legitimately award-winning beers that are extract. I know they're brewing extract beers because they're buying the ingredients from me. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that just goes down to whether you're extract brewing or you're using dry yeast or liquid yeast. I think just fresh is almost more important to me. Now, when it comes to liquid versus dry yeast, which is kind of what this experiment's been about, obviously we didn't choose something like a wheat beer or saison, something where the yeast is really the star player of the beer. I think that would be a fun experiment to do. But then again, I'm not really sure if it really matters, meaning like you should get varying results. Because I've heard from some people that the dry saison yeast is the best saison yeast on the market. I've heard from some people like, Dieter by Imperial is the best, German strain for their certain beers. So a lot of it comes down to, I guess what I'm taking from this is a lot of it's personal preference, what you're trying to achieve, and overall just kind of, what you prefer. And if you've brewed with certain things and you like that, I mean, stick with it. But based on this, say if you came in the store, because right now would be a great time with everything going on right now, liquid strains are the toughest for me to get in, to keep in stock.
Yeah.
They're severely behind, and so I've just tried to really stock up on your dry options right now, so that way, I guess what I'm trying to say from that, if you come in the store and you're like, hey, can I get 1056 by Y Yeast, and I'm like, sorry, I'm sold out of it, which that one I still think I have some, but if I was to say, hey, I'm sorry, but hey, I've got this dry yeast substitution, I wouldn't be like, oh, let's just completely come up with a totally different recipe. It's
Yeah.
kind of what I'm taking from it. Obviously some people like certain brands. So let me try the beers one more time. Like I said, I'm locking in my answer, but to be honest, guys, I'm giving you my honest opinion. That's why I like doing this. That's why I truly don't even know right now. Chris is going to tell us which one is which in just a moment. But I'm going with this one is liquid. That one is dry.
Okay.
And I'm only doing it just because the one that I believe is dry, in my opinion, tastes slightly sweeter. So that would be kind of my conclusion to this experiment. Like I said, I wish you guys could try it with me. I still have what's 2 minus 6, 4 bottles of this. So 2 and 2. When things go back to normal, we can still try to do it. If you guys want to come into the store, we can try to take a guess. That'd be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, with things going on right now, I'm just trying to keep everyone safe. So we're gonna have to postpone things to a later date. But Chris W., if you could kindly, I'm gonna post your response in that you chat. I'm gonna post it onto the page so everyone knows. Tell us which. I think it'd be easier to just say I'm going with this one here with the line in it is liquid yeast. Can you say this one here, the one with the black line through it, say if that's liquid or dry, and then we'll know if I'm right or wrong. Let's see here. I'm waiting
Drum roll.
Uh-oh, the suspense is killing me. I feel like waiting for my. Oh, I did get some.
Hey.
Woo-hoo! I'm 2 for 2. 2 for 2. So if you guys want to come into the store, that was a lot of fun. I was sweating there. But honestly, both good beers. If you're dry, I guess what I'm taking from this in conclusion, if you like dry yeast, stick with what you like. If you like liquid yeast, stick with it. Obviously, there can be some exceptions to the rule. Overall brewing procedures, I think, is probably more important. Holding your proper temperatures during fermentation. Because I've had really bad beers using liquid yeast, and I've had bad beers using dry yeast, and it probably had to do with what I was doing as a home brewer more than the yeast I was using. So I guess I really thought this one would jump out at me a lot more. And honestly, if I probably didn't Google what other people experienced doing this similar experiment, I probably wouldn't know off the top of my head, just out of a pure guess. So I am saying use either or. Just use what you like. So thank you, Chris W., for brewing the beers. I don't think we have, like I said, with everything going on, we don't have really. I don't know what I'm doing now. All right, there it is. With everything going on right now, I don't know, what's on our list to do next. I think I wanted to do like an extract versus all grain, kind of back to the flavor profile. But like I said, as of right now, with everything going on right now, we're just trying to get things back to normal as much as we can, and then we'll start back up with doing the get-togethers here in the store. I'm here at home today, so you can probably hear kids and life happening in the background. But it's been fun. I've been working hard to get everyone who has been coming into the store taken care of in a timely manner. So thank you all for bearing with me. At the bottom there, you can kind of see the different ways you can get a hold of me. Do you have anything to say about the experiment, Chris? Did you think I would get it right?
I mean, you had a 50-50 shot, so I mean, I thought so. I thought you had a decent chance at it. But no, I'm interested though in I mean, I would like to try the two hopefully at some point, like next time I'm down, and if you happen to have the bottles at the shop, I'd be more than happy to take a couple back with me. And 'cause I want to at least taste the difference, because I'd always, I think when I first started brewing, it was a lot of the kits that I was doing, especially when I was like doing extract. But even after I switched to all grain, a lot of the stuff I was doing required dry yeast. But then a lot of the stuff when I switched to, I think when I continued doing it, I wanted to switch to liquid yeast because I always thought that my brews would be better, for absolutely no reason whatsoever. It was just like liquid yeast, I get more out of it, increase efficiency, completely wrong. I'd be a horrible process. But I always wanted to know what the difference was. So I'd love to be able to do the Pepsi challenge on that and actually see, smell, taste what the difference is, if anything. But from what sounded like, from what you're saying, and I guess what Chris was writing in was typing in the chat earlier, is that most of it comes down to taste, where it's like a little bit sweeter from the dry yeast, which I guess kind of makes sense. But yeah, I want to give it a shot if I can.
Yeah, like I said, it was quite interesting. Like I said, the bottle condition versus keg. I actually thought that one would be more difficult than this one. So I thought this one, like you said, I never really questioned, but I was always kind of sold the idea of liquid yeast just made better beer. Don't know why. But that was also a decade ago when the process wasn't probably as good as it is today. I mean, everything with the companies who are manufacturing it and everything, even at the homebrew level, has really stepped up their game. I mean, I'm legitimately admitting when I first started homebrewing, the first 5 beers I brewed, truly it was a metal tin foil packet. Well, it was on tin foil, but you know what I mean, like a metallic silver packet that said ale yeast on it. That was it. I mean, I'm sure probably Nottingham and USO5 probably existed then, but truly the beer that I brewed that came in the kit, the recipe kit, was truly just a packet of yeast that said ale yeast. And I got one because I thought I'd do a lager, and I didn't even know you had to ferment lagers at a cooler temperature, which you don't technically have to do these days, but that's a topic for another cast. But and it just said lager on it. Who knows where it came from, what it was. Obviously, that yeast was pretty crummy compared to what we're using today. So obviously, yeah. It says, are there more varieties? Let's see here. Are there more varieties of one versus the other? Can you be a little bit more descriptive there, Wes? I'm not sure I'm following you yet. Sorry, guys. I should be.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I need to
something. I can't. I have a short attention span.
Yes, I know.
Chris will send me a text and he'll ask me something. I did get you back to that, and we'll talk about the issue you had that got resolved. Chris will send me a nice lengthy text, and I read the first 4 words and then assume the rest and end up completely wrong. But that's my own flaw. So today you have a mash and boil, which is still in stock. Been selling a lot of mash and boils because the Digiboil, the Digimash are out of stock. They're probably going to be a long time. Foundry's already backed up through probably into May now. If you want to, the Foundry system, I did take a lot of pre-orders for those. I'm going to get those out in the middle of April. I double checked on those yesterday. The Digimash and Digiboil, those are out of stock right now. Those should be, I don't know when those will be, and I don't have a due date. So the mash and boil, both the original unit and the one with pump, those are still shipping and in stock. So that is very good. Okay, here we go. No, thank you, Wes. It says, are there more dry yeast strains versus liquid or vice versa? I would say the answer to that question is there's by far more liquid strains than dry. I'm trying to think who did it, like all the hazy IPA strains. Whether you're looking at 1318 by Y Yeast, Juice by Imperial, there's London Fog, a couple others. White Labs makes that a lot of people like.
Juice is the truth, man.
What's that?
I love using Juice.
It's definitely my favorite for that style. But there wasn't a dry option, and then I brought in samples and sold some. I can't remember who made it. It's leaving me. I think it was the same company that makes Nottingham, and I can't pronounce her name. It's like Lillimand, or I can't pronounce their name. I can't pronounce any of these names. I think they made a New England IPA
Okay.
strain, but price wise was the same price as the liquid. So I didn't see, and I brewed a beer with it. And back to this, maybe it was my recipe that I'm always tweaking recipes. I didn't think it was bad, but it wasn't for me something like, oh my gosh, something I thought wasn't as, I didn't like the flavor of it as much. And, um, it was the same price. I didn't see the reason not to use a liquid strain then. Now, don't get me wrong. If I did a lot more mail order where I was, selling recipe kits with hazy style of beers for shipping reasons and, shipping multiple states, I would carry the packets and that for that. But locally, I like now, as I'm still getting the orders that I'm shipping more orders now than ever. I've just been throwing ice packs on them, and they should be good to go by the time they get you. Now, if it was to be like 2 or 3 days, I'd probably give you a call. Most everything right now of the places I'm shipping are usually in the 1 to 2 day range, so I don't worry and with the time of year, I don't worry too much about them getting too warm. But other than shipping reasons, that would be. But there's by far more liquid strains than dry strains. And there's some that can kind of cross over. So back to what we were talking about.
We got another question.
Oh, how about you take over the questions, Chris? Because I apparently am sleeping here.
All right. So Chris asks, did you have a preference between dry or liquid?
So preference-wise, I tell people it depends on the beer I'm brewing. Like I just admitted, hazy styles, hazies, Belgians, wheat beers. I prefer liquid. Clean fermenting beers. I don't brew saisons because I'm not a huge fan of saisons. And lager style beers, I'm okay with dry yeast. So it really depends.
Pale ales, pale ales, lagers, not pale ales, pale ales, blondes. I'd be just as fine using a dry yeast for those.
It really, for me, it just depends. For me personally, it just depends on what beer I'm brewing. If I was going to brew a pale ale, I'd probably just throw US-05 in there, have at it. If I'm brewing like a big IPA, I'd probably use Flagship by Imperial, maybe even throw it on starter just to build a good, because I guess here'd be a better way to answer the question. I don't mess with starters with dry yeast. I don't rehydrate yeast, nothing with dry yeast. I sprinkle it right into the beer. I'm done. So if I was to do like a lager style beer, generally I'll use liquid yeast because I build a big starter, and I'll put it in the refrigerator like the day before to decant the stuff off the top, throw it in the beer.
Sure.
Or I'll throw in multiple packets of dry yeast. I think 3470 as a lager yeast is about as good as it gets. It's got a great temperature range, and I've loved everything I've brewed with it. But if I'm wanting to brew like an Oktoberfest or something like that, I'll probably just use a liquid strain and build a big starter. So,
and then for I guess what you just did tonight, did you have a preference between the dry or the liquid? Did you like the sweeter version, I guess, which would have been the dry, I guess?
It was so subtle, I had to look for it. So I guess to answer your question, if being that I'm brewing, if I'm drinking them side by side, I will admit I preferred the liquid one. If you wanted if I like was judging these beers and say I had no clue what was coming in, I would score the liquid one higher than the dry one. But that's personal preference, because I said to me, I like more of the West Coast drier beers, like the brewed IPAs and things, and even like I like drier beers. I'm not like anyone who talks to me knows I'm not a huge fan of like Oktoberfest amber ales. I'm not a huge fan of real big malt bomb beers. So I don't want to say the drier the better, but I don't like I have a Maibach in my basement, which is a lager style beer, and I can't stand it. It's just too sweet for me, versus I did a Czech Pilsner that was on tap right before it, and I loved it. It was super dry. I stopped using, I know another beer experiment I was doing was reusing that Quebec yeast.
Oh yeah.
I found Quebec.
That's wild to me. I can't do it. I
found Quebec yeast are known for finishing on the high side. Like the last beer I did finished like 1.022, and that's just way too cloyingly sweet for me.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing the experiment with Quebec. I still got it rocking and rolling with Flagship by Imperial. So I am still doing the experiment. I just switched which yeast I did because I found all my Quebec beers finished at a higher gravity. And I, like I said,
Okay.
just personally, I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan of high sweeter beers.
Hmm.
Like I said,
So you're
amber
looking
ales, all
for,
those.
oh, gotcha. You're looking for something, what, the teens? Even lower?
Yeah, teens. I like, honestly, like anywhere from like bone dry to like, I would say, well, now I say that I love stouts, but that's different. Like dark beers,
Well, yeah.
um, like a lot of dark beers like that. I love the multi backbone to them,
Hmm.
but that's just a totally different beer style. Like I said, I like more of the chocolate coffee notes from it. But yeah, like I said, on your average beer, like for me, like a blonde ale, I'm gonna choose the drier one. If like you're giving me like personal preference, I'm gonna choose the drier one over the sweeter one. Pretty much, even if you fermented it, like use glucoamylase and fermented it like bone dry, I'm probably gonna choose it over, one finished sweeter.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
back to I was trying to get to. So the mash and boil is back in stock. I know you, Chris, you own a mash and boil that you got
Hmm.
from me. You
Yep.
had an issue. Do you want to kind of go over what happened there and
Yeah.
and
So it was
what
like,
was the issue?
yeah, it was right as I was transitioning into the boil. I reset the controller to go from, I was sitting at it was like 152, 153. And then I was setting it to go to 210 to start the boil. And then I got to maybe like 206, 205, like somewhere in there. And then I heard a beeping noise, and then it just flashed E4 across the
Mm-hmm.
front of it. And I was like, holy shit, what's happening? This is like the absolute wrong time for it to start like having an error like this. So I don't know what to do. I unplug it because because I still have the manual like for it. So I unplug it. It says like hit the reset button underneath it, plug it back in. I turned everything back on. It does it again as I'm doing that. So luckily, since I was inside, I was able to transfer the wort over to my kettle, put everything onto my stove, and then I was able to continue the boil like from there, since it was already at about like 200 degrees. Took me a little bit longer, but still a pain in the butt. But I after I emptied out the mash and boil, I could tell that it looked like a bunch of sediment that had collected down at the bottom, and all of that like had just at that point been scorched. So my guess is some of that stuff like got caked over the probe. I didn't see anything on top of the probe or where it was at, but just there was enough across the bottom that caused the issue. But after cleaning it, I was able to get it to actually start running again. But yeah, that was not what I expected.
So you texted me when you had the issue, and if for those of you who own the mash and boil, I believe pretty much all of the units, all of the electric smaller units, there's usually, if you can turn them upside down, obviously if you got boiling wort in there, that's hard to do. But if you turn them
Yeah.
upside down, there's a pin that you can push in that'll reset the system. Now, if you keep getting the same error code, obviously there's something that you need to fix.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in the middle of a brew day, like I said, just give me a call. I can kind of tell you what the error codes indicate. I'm assuming the beer you brewed probably had a fair amount of Pilsner malt in it.
Yes, it did.
Yeah. And the reason why was because Pilsner malt's a little bit plumper of a grain than, say, like your standard two rows. So it grinds a little finer, which a lot of people do in brew in the bag style systems want, but you're going to get more stuff with the mash and boil. It's going to make it through that perforated plate at the bottom.
Mm.
So that's probably what got down there, kind of scorched up on you and started popping the codes. In my experience, it doesn't matter. The temperature probe doesn't do it. It's truly where the burner is that can do it. So in the future, there's two things I would recommend as potential kind of hacks that you could do to prevent that from happening. The first would be the mash and boil itself doesn't have that center post like the Grainfather does. So you could just put like a brew in the bag inside the basket and put the
Okay.
grain into that. So because all of the manufacturers say do not use a grain bag, period, end of discussion, to replace the grain basket because it can go down there, scorch, start popping error codes and just destroy the burner.
Yeah.
So they say it voids the warranty if you do that. So, but if you put it inside the basket's elevated. You don't have to worry about it touching the burner. Go for it. If you're in a Grainfather, it recirculates. So in theory, all that debris should be recirculating and getting thrown on top of your grain bill.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to worry about with like a Grainfather as much in the recirculating systems. you could use a grain bag, and then say in the future, if it happened to you again, you didn't use a brew bag, or you did use a brewing bag and it happened, you could just pour the wort into like a brew bucket or something, or just a spare brew pot, clean that burner off, pop the switch, pour it back in there, and resume your brew day. So that would be like two kind of. I had my mash and boil when I had mine pop once, and I can't remember why it threw me an air. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. It was a return from a customer, and he couldn't get it to stop doing it. And same thing, I just used I just swapped them out units. And took care of it and troubleshot it myself. And I just ended up using what's the stuff called? Barkeeper's Friend. Barkeeper's Friend, a little hot water with a scrub, with a scour, like one of the non-abrasive scour pads, came right off, just melted right off. It worked out perfectly. Chris commented, there's a brew in a bag website that makes all kinds of different brew in a bags. You are correct. I like those more for like if you do like you take like a square Coleman cooler, they have like square bags. I sell ones that will work. I sell ones in the store that work perfect for like the mash and boil and those electric style systems. But if you're looking for something super bigger or like more custom, that is a great resource for those type of things.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, I have to give it a shot.
So that being said, I appreciate you all for your time. If you'd like, we can do some more fun things like this. If you want to be on the show, if you want to, if you have a topic you want to talk about, I think we're all going to have a little bit more time than usual on our hands to be at home. Home brewing is a great hobby. I'm not trying to plug home brewing right now, but honestly, if you're stuck at home, it is called home brewing for a reason. So it is a lot. I have noticed a lot of people have. I had a guy who messaged me today, said he hadn't brewed in 3 years and was ready to start back up. So it is a fun hobby. But like I said, even if we're at home brewing, we can come together and chat home brewing. If you got topics you want to talk about, like I said, I don't know everything, but if you want to ask me questions, I'll give you my opinion, for better or for worse. So that being said, Chris, I'll let you get back to. I can't remember the name of the show.
Tiger King.
Tiger King. Keep want to call it Tiger Lily. I don't know why. My daughter's name's Lily. It's probably why. I don't know why. But anything you want to add? Tell people where to reach you at.
No, I mean, yeah, I would wholeheartedly advocate for, if folks got the time, and especially at least my hope is that the weather will start to improve a bit more. So like getting outside, like while we can't get out and socialize with everybody like we used to, at least being outside for a little bit and firing up even if it is just an electric system, getting outside and brewing for 4, 5, 6 hours could be therapeutic, to be quite honest. And when I was brewing on Saturday, even though I did it inside, it was still fun because it took my mind off things for a little while, and I had a blast, minus the whole mash and boil throwing an air part. But other than that, you can find me on Twitter at Chris Allen FFWX. I did a show last night about with 2 guys out of Illinois. That one of them he knows the owners of a small craft brewery out that way. It's called Hand of Fate. It's in like southern Illinois, if I'm not mistaken, like south of Springfield. But we talked, like we went back and forth over, I mean, it was fantasy football, but it was also like they were asking me stuff about home brewing and all that. Told them about HBYOB. Hopefully, I mean, I said that, I mean, you do ship. So, I mean, for folks out there that you don't have to live in Dayton, Ohio to get stuff. I mean, I'm sure that he can get stuff out to you wherever you're at. So it doesn't have to be people that live in the area. But either way, anything else, you can come find me there.
That is one thing I wanted to mention, guys. Try to support your local home breweries. They need you right now. I know we're going to be doing a couple giveaways here soon for some gift cards. I believe the first one's going to be Crooked Handle, and then after that's going to be Heavier Than Air. I've chat with them about doing a couple giveaways for them on their behalf. So I'm waiting. I'm writing it out. I'm waiting to get my hair cut before I start trying to cut my own hair. So like I said, try to support all your local breweries, and I appreciate you all who are supporting me. Honestly, it means the world. Like I said, if you don't mind, especially if you have a grain recipe, if we have a great, let's see if I can show it real quick. Is this working? There we go.
Yep. There it is.
Oh,
Hey, it looks like mine.
I got it to work. All right. So right here, if you can see that, there's lag on my computer. There's a build your own recipe.
I didn't know you had
Sorry,
that.
I'm using a computer that was made in like 2013. So
I'm
it's
gonna go
not
there right
crappy
now.
internet, it's a crappy computer. All right. So you have build your own grains here. And honestly, like I said, say you wanted 10.5 pounds of grain, say your base grain or specialties or whatever it may. Oh my goodness, internet. Or
Build
not
your own
internet, sorry,
recipe.
computer. My CPU is like plugging away. Oh
Oh, quick
yeah.
for you. Build your.
All
Hey,
right. So
Chris, if you're
yeah.
still in the chat, can you send me that recipe? Can you post it up like in the comments or something? I want that. I wouldn't mind getting that blonde recipe.
So we have here, like you can choose your increments, like say 1 pound. You can choose whether you want to crush it, want me to crush it or not. From here, you can choose. Yes, it's a Mac, that's why it's really crappy. But anyway, you can choose, whether it's 2 row or Pilsen. I mean, I've even got my specialty grains there. It'll do the math for you up here, and then you can choose if you have like multiple recipes you want to do, so I can crush and combine them. Once you're done adding those to your cart, you can choose your hops. I wish I had my computer at work. It's so much faster in this. It's really not my website. It is my old.
Now, here's a question. So, if people ask for something and you might not have it there, or you might be out, will you hit them back and let them know, hey, I don't have X, but I do have, this optimal substitute?
Yes. So what I've been doing is when people are placing orders, what I'm doing is I'm pulling the hops and grains as of right now, because I just got a big shipment in. Grains aren't a problem. So it's hops and yeast that are the issue. I'm pulling the yeast and the hops first. That way, if there's something I'm out of, I make sure I message you for any possible substitutions. If you're cool with the substitutions, great. If not, like I said, we can do another recipe. We can deal with it however you want to deal with it. I know I just sold out a Galaxy the other day. So if you choose Galaxy, unfortunately, you're going to be getting a phone call from me or email. And there's another one that I was kind of shocked I ran out of the other day, or maybe even today. No,
Amarillo.
I know I got a big bag of Amarillo. What was it?
Cascade? That'd be
Oh,
kind of messed up if you didn't have Cascade.
I don't say that. It almost happened. I think it came close to happening. I ran out of USO5. There was I had so many orders compared to normal. But what was it? Oh, leaf hops. That's totally something different. Leaf hops.
Okay.
I fixed that on the website. I haven't been able to get leaf hops for like months now. So
All
there
right.
are a lot of things that, with stocking, incorrections. But anyway, you just choose whatever hop you want. Add however many ounces you want. Say you wanted, that, you just add it to your cart, and then you can continue shopping and hope that you have a computer better than mine. And then you choose your other one, for all your hop additions. You can choose how many ounces you want, add them to your cart. And then you get to yeast. Like I said, the yeast is probably going to be the biggest thing you may hear from me, especially if you're choosing liquid. But then you just go to your yeast if you're an all grain brewer. One thing I need to fix, because I'm getting close to running out of ice packs, because like I said, I've been shipping a lot of orders here recently. I still have quite a few, but I need to add a ice pack option down here. I've just been sending ice packs with anyone who orders a liquid yeast strain. But there may have to be, if I have to order some more ice packs, there may be a point where I might have to charge a small fee for them. But then you just choose whatever yeast you want for your recipe. Say we just talked about juice, you add it to your cart, and then, to check out. One thing that I did do with everything going on, let's see here. No, I don't want to do that. I'm afraid to click a button because it's going to take forever.
Just loading.
I haven't got the color wheel spinny of death. Oh, okay, here we go. So say you want shipping right now. you can choose. Sorry. Frylit. Oh wait. Yeah, I don't even know my own website. And then right now I have set up with everything going on right now is I have obviously if you want to choose pickup in store, you can select that. That's no charge. Just put in the order notes when you get to that point,
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
an estimated pickup window time if you don't mind. And then I have right now, if you live in the state of Ohio, it's no more than $7. So say, obviously what I have is more than 13 ounces. Say if you just wanted a couple, say you just wanted like, say 1 ounce of hops. I was going to say, please don't make me do that again.
All right. So Chris is going to email you that recipe that he made.
Yeah.
Can I come pick that up like later this week?
Yeah. If he's cool with it.
Well, yeah, because I'm going to make it.
Well, there you go.
Like,
so
that's
you're
why
saying me just get it ready for you and let you know when it's ready.
Yeah.
I'll give you the recipe when you come in.
Yeah, see, exactly.
There we go.
Just stay by the step. He's going to email it to you, and then I'll just come get it.
So say you just wanted like an ounce of like hops or, 1 packet of yeast. There are still cheaper shipping options. That's never going to go away.
Okay.
Along with the pickup in store curbside. Well, that was cool. Did you see that? I didn't know you could do that. Anyway.
Oh, with the first class mail?
Like I said, know my mouse. Watch how big it gets. Isn't that cool?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Like I said, I got a short attention span. I have ADD. But anyway, like I said, pickup in store curbside is always going to be a free option. If it is cheaper, the cheaper shipping methods will display. That will always be there. And then, like I said, no matter what you're ordering right now with everything going on, I'm giving a $7 option. It does exclude bottles, anything glass, and bulk bags of grain. Unfortunately, I can't honor that. But if you got recipes or kits or anything else, like I said, unfortunately, because glass is so breakable, it more get broke than make it to you. There is a if you do want, like I say, a case of bottles really bad, there's like a $25 flat rate fee that gets added on to it. That way I'm going to ship each case of bottles in its own box that I completely wrap and bubble wrap. So it is an option. Yeah. It's just not very affordable. But the flat rate, no matter what, like I said, I'm doing that as a deal right now with everything going on to save you some money on shipping. So, and like I said, you still can pick up in store. Just know that if you do pick it up in the store, the store hours, please give me a call to make sure I'm there, because I am running a lot more errands than normal because mail's been sporadic on picking me up right now. UPS has been coming before I even get to work right now. So I've been making trips to all the different places to get everyone out. I know someone messaged me earlier and said he placed the order, like, I forget, like 3:00, and he got it the next day. So I'm trying to make sure you guys get it as quick as possible, especially if you have liquid strains. I want to make sure those get to you before they get warm. So that being said, I know I said I was almost done, but I went on for a little bit there. You get back to Tiger King, Chris. I'm going to get back to finishing these beers, and thank you guys so much, and I'll see you next time.
See you guys.